It's free flowing. Nothing
Okay.
serious. Don't get all serious.
I'm not getting serious.
Yeah.
You're just Dawn.
Because I'm going to pull it out. The questions. Are you recording? Oh, God. Oh, man. Thank you. Welcome, Sesilia Conchola. We got it, everybody.
Sesilia
Welcome.
Conchola.
Thank you so much. Welcome to another episode of Istwa. As you know, you and I have been friends for a very long time, and I told you during the pandemic that I launched Storyteller Certified, which is the brand, but we created a segment called Istwa. Istwa is basically growing up in your culture and your roots, who you are, and how it shaped you into your entrepreneurship today. That's pretty much it. So we're just going to deep dive into our conversation. But I'll give kind of a prelude because I want people to know who you are, right? Yeah. Storytelling comes natural to me because of my Haitian background. In Haiti, storytelling has long been essential to fostering communication and teaching and sharing the journey through your past, present, future experiences of life. During the pandemic, I launched a passion project called Storyteller Certified, a brand paired with producing video stories and the purpose to educate, inspire, and empower people's lives. And today, we're happy to have my good friend, Sesilia, but I'm going to call her Ceci. She's an independent clinical...
Only you can call me Ceci.
I know. I can call you Ceci? Don't call you Ceci?
Yeah, you
I can do
call
that.
me
Okay. Independent clinical social worker, dedicated owner of Soul Mind Connection Counseling, LLC, with over 20 years of unwavering commitment to the field of social work. But instead of me diving into her bio and reading, I'm going to let her tell you better who she is and what she does.
Yeah, so I started Soul Mind Connection Counseling in 2021, still like during the pandemic. I actually never, ever imagined that I would have my own private practice. Mm-hmm. Didn't see myself as a business owner. But I think that my passion came from wanting to help not just women, but women of color. Right. And it's been quite a journey ever since. I've had a ton of experience prior to that, working in child welfare systems, juvenile justice. I've worked with individuals with developmental disabilities. I've done family therapy, and so just a kind of like a wealth of experience, and to be able to bring it all into, my private practice has just been, it's been amazing.
Eye-opening, purposeful, right? Yeah. She sounds very serious. She is very serious. But I know Ceci from Las Placidas, so we just don't have margaritas right now. So look, I mean, did you ever think that you would be doing what you're doing today?
Absolutely not. I know you've been trying to get me in here for a long time, Don.
I know. I mean, what's the thought process behind? Because of course we know that our parents wanted us to be doctors, lawyers, engineers, something in that field. Did you ever process that you would be doing what you're doing today, really helping people's lives?
Yeah. So the funny part of this is that I never ever thought I would be in this field. Period. Mm-hmm. I started off as a music major.
Oh,
I was
right.
Yeah, I was in the field of music.
You were singing.
Yeah. And so that was my passion. Mm-hmm. It just so happened that people started telling me their problems. I mean, just off the street, and so like, it's also been a journey to like try to figure out how to merge my passion with what I'm just naturally good at.
Right.
And the environment that I grew up in, my family, my background, it was frowned upon for me to go into the profession of music because, what are you going to get? Starving artist, right?
Yeah.
Like
you start singing and doing bad stuff, right. Traveling, right? You're like, no.
Yeah, and so social work was actually kind of the safe part of my education in the field. But I grew into just loving it. I made it work for me, so I didn't have to compromise what I loved with what I was good at. So even like today in my practice, I infuse music interventions into my therapy sessions. Just did one this week, actually.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
We took a song and we related it to the life of that client, and we processed the lyrics, and and transforming like what that healing journey is for that client was very powerful.
Isn't that interesting how we have this purpose-filled life, right? So we're like, oh, I want to be this and I want to do that. But then your purpose pulls you closer to what you want to be. But then you still incorporate the passion of what you love. Like, I didn't even know you were doing that, but that's amazing.
Yeah.
It really is. Let's talk a little bit more about the traditions and values in your household. I mean, we talked about what your parents probably assumed what you wanted to be, but what were your traditional values at home growing up?
So my background is Mexican, and I grew up most of my life with a big support from my grandparents. And so in my culture, like, your grandparents are really the center of everything. And I'm not sure that any particular field was really imposed upon us. It was more so get through school and kind of figure it out from there.
Right.
I credit my grandmother and my grandfather in a big way to instilling the value of education into me, because that historically is not something that they got an opportunity to really engage in. So I'm first generation.
That's awesome.
I'm the first one to go to college. I'm the first one to graduate from college. I'm the first one to have like first everything, right? And so that to me is really important, because it's leaving a legacy. It's changing the values of my family, of my generation.
Yeah.
So that was really empowering. But, family is essential to everything, that's having that support system. And I think that's a really big piece of what I also bring into, like, my private practice, because supports are everything.
That's true.
Growing up, I have 1,000 cousins. I have cousins that I probably still don't even know about.
Right. Well, we typically have that. And it's like, oh, that's right, we are family.
And no matter what you do, no matter who you are, you're always supported there. No matter what the decisions are that you make, right? My family still stands behind me.
That's so funny that you said that, because I always run into a person with my same last name. So you're like, okay, how ironic would that person be?
Right.
I literally met a guy in New York. We met in Harlem. We had a project going on. I had my crew with me, and we met at a bar. We had a ball. My coworker was like, dude, he has to be like your cousin. So we kept trying to figure it out, and I was like, let's probably not go down that subject, because it might bring out some stories that you are a cousin and somebody, a long lost uncle. We just didn't want to go there. Right. But it's so interesting in our culture how we have families spread out all over the place. So as a matter of fact, my daughter, one of her best friends at school, her mom's maiden name is Napoleon, and they're from St. Lucia. So she's been asking her parents, like, I was like, somebody probably migrated across the water at some point.
Interestingly enough, like, my last name is not very common, Conchola. And so typically when I come across somebody with that last name, I immediately think, are we related?
Yeah, what uncle was a Rolling Stone?
And the irony is, like, I'm from Kansas.
Right.
I'm from Kansas City, so you don't. It's not like I'm gonna. It
was like, I'm a Mexican from Kansas.
I'm from Kansas.
Right.
It's always really interesting to say that and get the reactions.
I know. Yeah, this is just like with Haitians. The whole thing is Haitians are either in Miami, they're in Florida, Boston, or New York. Like, that's just where we landed. And ironically, interestingly, those were ships were landed, so we do have a huge population there. What are some misunderstandings, misconceptions that people have about your culture and who you are and what you do? Not that it affects you, but what are some misconceptions?
I think the biggest one is there's this assumption that I automatically speak the language of Spanish.
Right.
And I don't. I'm not fluent in Spanish.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not fluent.
I thought you spoke Spanish a little bit.
A little bit. I get by. I love to travel, and so that's typically where I get to practice. And so this goes back to, like, family, right? Like, I grew up during a time in Kansas, where it was frowned upon for you to know Spanish. You were living in America, you needed to know the language of English.
Right.
And so, although my grandparents spoke it, it was never spoken directly to us.
Interesting.
It was always spoken around us.
Right.
When they didn't want us to know what they were talking about, as children. So that was a big kind of like culture shock for me moving out here to the East Coast, because just walking to the bus stop or on the sidewalk, I would get stopped by, Latinos of a similar culture, and I automatically get approached and they begin speaking the language to me, Spanish, and when I don't speak it back, I got shamed for it.
Oh yeah, like you're a traitor.
Yes, absolutely, I got shamed for it.
Well, I don't want to cut you off, but you continue. But my wife looks Ethiopian. Like we always deep dive about where her family, but we live in D.C., so the Ethiopians, when they see her, they just roll up and they start speaking Amharic to her. I don't make it any better because I know a little bit of the language, and I'll just be like, "Oh, aren't y'all celebrating Melka Madisa Met?" Then they'll look at me and look at her like, "Bro, like you really disrespecting our culture." But it happens all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, funny if you want to call it funny, but we will go places. It will be no parking. I will tell her to keep driving, and the person, as soon as she rolls up, we'll be like, "No parking." Then she'll come up. They'll be like, "You can park here." I swear to God. I mean, the whole misconception about that is wild. It really is. So, I mean, but you were saying about...
Yeah, so, but that's become, learning the language has become important to me.
Right.
I have a 10-year-old son.
Yeah.
And so he's in a language immersion
Brother Sal.
Yeah, Sal, good old Sal. And I'm getting the opposite experience with him, because he's actually in this program learning the language, but he does not want to speak it.
Interesting. Yeah, he'll learn to love it. Now that's not a good or bad, because I remember growing up, we didn't want anybody to know we were Haitian.
Right.
It was just kind of like against, because it's not cool, because we got called names. It was like Haitian creation, go back to your nation, Haitian booty scratcher. I mean, it was kind of awful, right? But all of a sudden now it's cool to have a culture. It's cool to have that background, but it wasn't cool then. I remember we were on a phone. Remember we had three-way calls? And then we had to get off the call. Yeah. The phone, my mom got on the phone, was like, "Son na telephone na konya, son na telephone na konya." And I was like, I was like trying to like stop. I was like, then I was like, "Mom, okay." Then my friends would be like, "Bro, was she speaking English?" I'm like, "Yeah, she was talking fast." But now it's cool to be Haitian, right? And it's cool to be Mexican, right?
Yeah. But I think that also depends on where you live in the world.
That's true.
Too.
Yeah.
Again, I grew up in Kansas, and so what I love about being out here in the district is that I feel free to be who I am.
That's right. Yeah. We're in a melting pot.
Right. Yeah. It's very much so a melting pot. It feels comfortable. It feels like home.
Right.
And that's so important to me, to be able to bring that out of other people, to help them feel comfortable, like in their own skin, no matter where they're from.
You're living your purpose. You really are.
I hope so.
Yeah. So, I mean, as we talk about cultures, let's talk about food. So when you growing up in your household, did you eat traditional food? And then the reason why I'm asking is, did you eat traditional food that was Mexican of your culture, but then when you went out, was it kind of like weird looking at American food?
Yeah.
All right, because we never ate pancakes. But I didn't know what pancakes were.
Okay.
So we had pancake day at our grammar school, and I just started eating my pancakes dry. And I remember Amber was like, "You're not going to put syrup on them?" I was like, "No, I don't eat them with syrup." But knowing damn well, I never had pancakes. Mouth dry the whole time. Because we grew up having... our food, we had all different types of rices, and, my mom cooked plantains. Like, we ate our food. So we didn't know a lot about American dishes. I mean, how was it for you?
So my mom's probably going to kill me if she hears this or sees this, but she was not really a good cook. And so I did, I did mention that, a lot of my childhood was spent with my grandparents.
Right.
My grandma could cook her heart out. So tortillas were a big thing. And I remember when she would make tortillas, she'd roll the dough. You cut up and you roll the dough. And my brother and I would play with it as if it were Play-Doh. So we would throw it at the wall, but the tortillas were just really like, you can eat tortillas with everything.
For sure. Yeah.
And it's mainly flour tortillas, and you make it into different shapes. And so that was a staple. Rice and beans. I think that's across a lot of cultures.
Yeah, that's our food too.
One of my favorite times of the year is Christmas because making tamales is a big deal in my family, or was a big deal when my grandparents were alive. You always had my grandma, again, could just cook her heart out, but that was something that we looked forward to every year and that we did as a family.
Good. Do you cook your food at home for Sal?
Do cook.
Yeah, because you got to give him. You got to make sure he gets cultured in it. Does he speak the language too?
He loves my tacos.
Okay.
He loves my tacos.
Good. That's why he's fast on the soccer field.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because of the tacos.
Okay.
but yeah, he loves the
That's
food.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good. Let me ask you about so. You grew up, your grandparents are very instrumental from what I'm hearing in your upbringing, especially really helping you shape and understanding your culture. Preserving your culture and your heritage, was that something that you were able to embrace with your grandparents? Again, I ask that because it wasn't until later, like in my early 20s, which we really started to understand our culture. Like everybody's so, faux pas about hoodoo and voodoo and thinking it's something bad, but those are the roots of the religions from the islands, when it is not anything bad. But I just remember when we started to embrace it and we would be at ceremonies, it was just so eye-opening to be in white and really be able to experience our culture and our ancestors. How was it for you?
I think, that's part of like what I was describing earlier. Like it was a little conflicted because, again, I grew up in Kansas, and I grew up in a time where you needed to kind of acculturate to where you were, to adapt to where you were. It's no surprise that Kansas is mostly a white state, so you have a lot of, I was immersed into a lot of the Caucasian culture. And so I think my grandma did the best that she could with making sure we preserved parts of our culture, and the cooking was, I think, a big part, the center of like, what we did to preserve that. So I try to hold on to some of those things today, especially with, my son, because I want him to have those experiences. And even like the dances, right? Like flamenco dancing and the music. My father had his own band and he sang, and so like bachata wasn't part of the Mexican culture, but like cumbias, salsa, all those dances. And so that is something, we'll have dance parties sometimes during dinner. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I think it's just so important. We're like kind of second generation-ish to make sure that we understand and we embrace, and also that we also teach our kids, right? Because we don't want it to get lost. Right? You know what I'm saying? We don't want that. Let me ask you a question. So you said your grandparents were instrumental, right? Of course, you grew up with your folks at home. Do you see a lot of your parents in you? Because, it could be anything. I remember seeing my dad's wallet. It was so thick. And I was like, why is his wallet so thick? Like, why does he keep all the papers in there? Like, why doesn't he just throw the receipts out? If I pull my wallet out, it's like, and then I was like, I don't even know why I do it. So now my kid's probably looking at me. Yeah.
So this is funny, but I think one of the things that I do is I walk fast.
Which way?
My grandma was 4'9".
Right.
My mom is like 4'11".
Right.
And they walk fast.
Right.
Because we always got somewhere to go and something to do.
Yeah.
Right. Like
of course.
we're always on the move in my family, in my culture, and so that is something that I have, I think, adapted.
Yeah.
And no matter how hard I try to, I'm told to like stroll sometimes. I don't know how to do that. Like I know just to go.
You
right?
only know what to do. Yeah, gene code is there, right?
Yeah, and I think that's a significant part of what I grew up into. Like we were always doing something. We were always moving. We were always trying to figure out the next thing to do. In the family to get things accomplished.
Isn't it interesting, like how, as kids, you're just growing up, you're learning, you don't know much of anything, but there's things that you don't like. You're like looking at your folks and your family, and then like you grew up and you're in likeness of them. And it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Like I just, love my grandmother. She passed early. But I see myself in a lot of things and how my mom operates, and especially my dad. Like my dad was always kind of like, he was a planner. Yeah. I always tell people at the household, like, if we going somewhere, you got lists, like, because we don't want to forget nothing. And then I do a lot of the similar things that they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my son is adapting to that as well. Like he's
paying attention.
Right. Very much so.
So look, your cultural background and your upbringing, right? How much of your Mexican heritage, you being here from Kansas and also here, basically, how did you move into the sense of purpose and passion, including those things? Because for me, I see so much of my heritage and my background as in Haitian Creole as part of what I do, especially with this show. Yeah. Like it's not by chance but my show is called Istwa. Yeah. You know what I mean, which is storytelling, and I love to embrace that into a lot of the work that I do. Do you do that in your current work of life?
So I feel like in the Mexican culture, or at least in my culture, because you have the broad culture, and then we can kind of hone in on that even more, and culture can be made up of family and individuals. You were silenced a lot as a child. I was silenced a lot as a child, right? Yeah. You're the kid, speak when spoken to. You don't have opinions.
Every culture, yeah,
right, yeah. And so
adults are talking.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Right.
and I even have to catch myself sometimes with my son, like, oh, he has a voice.
Yeah. I have to stop that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think what's become a passion of mine in my work is to be able to give my clients a voice, to help them find their voice, help them assert their voice, and help them speak their voice.
Yeah.
And that's so transformational for them and for me, to be honest. Like, just to kind of see the development and the growth in that, and how empowered they are once they find that voice.
You have to be a good listener, especially in what you do.
Yeah, I do. And there are days where, I struggle to listen because maybe, we have, as social workers, as therapists, we have things going on in our days too. But I am constantly recentering and making sure that, I'm there.
Yeah, I'm learning. I've been practicing more to be present for years. But it's so, because I'm going to call and apologize to my son now. He's 26. But like, I find myself doing, then I got to catch myself. I'm like, bro, he's not a child. Yeah. He's a grown man. Yeah. And then people have a voice, right? Yeah. They have even though Geminis always think that they know everything. Yeah, we do. Yeah. Wow. But like, let people voice their opinion. They might have something important to say. Yeah. Clothes. So, growing up, my parents would not let us wear American clothes. We couldn't even buy the coats. We just look like Haitian Bamas. And I don't know why one year he agreed. I don't even know what a Quarterville is. He agreed that we would all get Quarterville coats. They had like this fur collar. Yeah. We came to school. We were the coolest Napoleons with our coats. But I also just remembered that we, it took us a while to be able to get cool clothes. And I'm saying all to say, it was all these rules. Like, we have rules in our culture. Like, when Lean On Me came out, all my friends went to be on Lean On Me. It was in Patterson. And I was like, Dad, we going. Everybody's going. He didn't let us go. I remember years later, we're old watching TV. And I was like, see everybody from Holy Name? You didn't let us go in Patterson. He was like, it was so bad. But like, we had rules. I mean, you had rules growing up?
I didn't really have rules around clothes. What I will say is that bright colors, right? Like
bright colors?
Bright colors. Yeah, for some reason that sticks out in my head. I remember always wanting to wear like the brightest thing and getting like the brightest things, and even like my walls in my house are bright. They're bright colors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it sound like the bright walls, or he's like, why are they so bright?
I don't think he cares.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So bright colors.
Bright colors.
Okay.
That's that's what sticks out the most.
That's interesting.
And of course, like you have your traditional kind of, you know, you have sombreros that, you know, you would wear at events.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when we would go to the dances, you wore like dresses or skirts to be able to like twirl around and have fun. And but I mean, that's probably the most significant thing that stands out to me is just like bright colors. I remember, and maybe it's because I was in the 80s too, and so neon was a thing, and different color socks. Do you remember that?
Bright colors. Yep.
You remember all the neon stuff? Yeah.
So, do you feel like you are living your purpose? Every day when people wake up, some people aren't happy going to work, or they're not happy with what you're doing. Do you think you've gotten to that plateau where the service that you're providing is also a ministry?
I think that in life, all I've ever wanted was to accomplish happiness, and waking up every day knowing that I get to do what I love to do.
I love that.
And be the mom that I want to be has just been a game changer for me.
I can see it on your face.
I don't dread like walking over to my computer, getting to appointment to see a client.
Yeah, it feels good.
It feels good, and I say that even this field is sometimes a selfish field because, you know, we may get paid for it, you know, doing sessions or whatnot, or doing talk therapy, but the feedback that we get from our clients, that's not something that a dollar amount can be assigned to.
That's true.
When they tell me that they look forward to meeting with me every week, that I'm helping them set their week up, and that, you know, it's been life-changing for them. It's been transformational. I mean, you can't pay for that. You can't pay for that. You know?
That's my soundbite for you right there. I usually ask people to close out with something inspirational, but you said that. Like, really living your purpose, the work that you do is your ministry. I think for everybody, if what you're doing doesn't feel like ministry, we should feel like what we do is ministry. Literally helping, inspiring, empowering, and educating people to be their best possible self.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
My brand represents that. And it's not by chance that it's in alignment with everyone that I interview, that I talk, that they have this sense of ministry and purpose and really be able to help not just the next generation, but our peers as well.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to hear that you're doing that. I'm happy to hear that you're living your purpose, living your dream, and doing the things that you want to do to change the world. And I just pray for continuing healing for what you're doing, because so many people need healing nowadays.
Yes.
But if you could leave with any keywords or anecdotes or your mission statement that you live by, what would that be?
The first thing that pops into my head is something that I'm going to credit my neighbor for. My neighbor, she always says, trust your journey. And I think if I could leave anything for here today, that's what it would be. You're the author of your own book, and you get to write your happy ending.
I love that. And I don't even want to leave with my mission, which is, live your story. Right?
Yes.
And that's what you're doing.
Yes.
And that's why you need a new sweatshirt.
That's why I need a new
sweatshirt. That says I'm living my story.
Yes.
Well, look, thank you so much, Sesi, for coming on Istwa. I hope this has been enlightening. I hope it's been a little therapeutic for you too, as well, as we dove back into your life.
Yeah.
And really help people understand, our listeners to understand who you are, what you do, how you're inspiring people, how you're educating people, how you're empowering people. That is the mission and the goal of Istwa, to be able to share those stories. So I really appreciate you coming on the show today. I really appreciate you empowering, and not empowering, but pouring out who you are and what you do. And I pray that you continue to heal. You know, it's not so much of getting clients, but you continue to heal people in the times that we're living with today.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me and sharing this experience with me.
Now let's go to Las Plus. That's the disclaimer for them. Thank you so much. No, I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Okay.